Hello, hello. Sorry I'm late, y'all. Ooh. I put the microphone way too loud. Sorry about that, y'all. There we go. Sorry I'm late. It has been a hectic weekend. A very hectic weekend, and I'm sorry about my voice. I'm not sick again, don't worry. I was at my friend's show, Calling All Captains. We've talked about them in the past. Their biggest... Hey, Albert. Yeah, we're gonna be on a live stream together next Sunday. Before my show, obviously. But yeah, stay tuned for that. We were planning earlier. But yeah, last night I was at my friend's show, Calling All Captains. Their biggest hometown show at Union Hall, which is an incredible venue here in town, and it can hold 1,000 people, if like a little over that, and there was 1,000 people there, and it was insane and an emotional roller coaster just because, like, they headlined that show. It's not like they were opening up for anyone. Like, they did that. I mean, there were all the bands that were on the show before that opened up for them were also incredible and good bands in their own rights. But it was their show, and their setup was crazy. And it was just, I don't know. I've been emotional for, like, the last 24 hours. Just, like, leading up to the show, getting to kind of talk to all of them before the show in the green room, and then seeing them go on stage, being there with my friend Tim's brother and Tim's nephew, and enjoying the show, and it I don't know, and like seeing Tim's parents there, and it was just an emotional, amazing night. But I was screaming so loud the entire time. So my voice is shot, y'all. Plus, like, before the concert, I recorded a demo. So my voice is shot. But I'm here. And I am happy to talk about GH. Well, we're recapping, so it's going to be something that we discuss. It's in the thumbnail. But I think it's not last, but it's like towards the end we're gonna discuss it. Of like all the notes that I have. But yeah, welcome to the General Hospital After Show, y'all. My name is Dion, and I'm your host, and I'm excited. It wasn't like it was like a crazy action-packed week, but like a lot seemed to happen. It's kind of like we're kind of in the calm before the storm, I feel. And so there was a lot of sort of building up this week that put a lot of storylines to sort of not a climax, but like they're laying the groundwork, which I'm excited for. So yeah, lots to discuss. And Albert, I don't know if you're sticking around, but I am intrigued to know what your thoughts are about what happened on Friday's episode. So if you're gonna stick around, I'd love to hear your opinion. But yeah, let's get into things. The first thing I want to talk about, which is so silly, I think we talked about it Wednesday as well. But Lulu, she's got a new house, a very familiar house. We've seen it a few times. It's been Carly's home at one point. It's been Elizabeth's home at one point. And even her father Luke's childhood home at one point as well. Obviously in, like, flashbacks, because we didn't see Luke as a child. Hey, Sandy. Good to see ya. But yeah, these houses, they're not even supposed to be the same house. They're not remotely connected because both Elizabeth's and Luke's childhood home quite literally blew up at different times. So, and they weren't rebuilt, okay? Like, these are just, lazy ways to reuse a set. The only difference between them is a paint job. Like, It's so crazy. Yeah, it was Elizabeth's home and Luke's childhood home and Carly's home at different eras. So I guess, reduce, reuse, recycle. Like, they're using the 3 R's. I just wish that they would do a little more to the sets to make them look even a little bit different, The Spencer house. Yeah, the Spencer house. It was the Spencer house. It was Carly's house. And it was Elizabeth's house. Fluke blew up the Spencer childhood home or whatever. And Elizabeth's home was blown up by Jake, I think, right? Jake threw Sam down the stairs or something, pushed her down the stairs. And the heater, something went wrong with the heater, and Drew had to get her out. But like Jason, I think he still thought he was Jason then at that point. But yeah, he had to rescue Sam out of that explosion. Houses be blowing up. Nathan rescued Dante from the explosion because Dante was trapped downstairs, courtesy of Luke, with the corpse of Bill Eckert next to him. Weird storylines, y'all, but that's soaps for you. But anyway, yeah, Bill Eckert. Well, he didn't really live there though. No, Bill Eckert didn't live there. Bill Eckert he just visited the Luke's childhood home. But Bill Eckert's, his dead corpse was there for a minute. But no, Bill showed up in Luke's childhood when Luke's mom died. And that's how Luke and Bill ended up meeting for the first time. But he blocked it out because of the trauma. But yeah, going back, let's get back to to the point. Lulu's got a new house. It looks like the old house. It's not the old house. But anyway, who knew that being an assistant at a cosmetic company could just make you afford a house in like a matter of a couple of months? I wish. Silly me having a full-time job. But yeah, so Dante helped Lulu move in, and they were getting along quite well. We'll see how long that lasts. Laura took notice of how well Lulu and Dante were getting along, and kind of left them alone to sort of be them. But we'll see how long that lasts, because Lulu had also got a new job offer as a writer for the Landsview newspaper, which is a notable fictional town from another soap on ABC. It's a little funny that Lulu lives in Port Charles and works for that paper, but it's kind of like the era that we're in, where you can work from home, work from anywhere, and hold a job. For some cases. Not all, obviously. But yeah, she had a few topics to choose from for her first article, or maybe her test article. I don't really know. But wouldn't you know it, one of the topics was adoption, and I think the journalist chose that for Lulu, ironically. She rolls with it. She decides to interview Lucas, and gets insight on his relationship with Tony and Bobby, because he's adopted, if you guys didn't know. And they were his adoptive parents, versus his relationship with Julian before Julian died. Julian being his biological dad. His biological mom died, I think, not at giving birth, but like at a very young age for Lucas, I believe, if I understand that correctly. But you guys have to remind me which soap Landview was. I can't remember if it's All My Children or One Life. Let me know if you guys know. But yeah, later on, Lucas runs into Brooklyn at the hospital, and he mentions the interview to her, and she's not happy because she sees it as Lulu trying to get under her skin a little bit. Also, Brooklyn and Chase are currently discussing adopting as an option to have a kid, and Brooklyn wants to use the same establishment Lois used to get her kid adopted, Only thing is, Lois didn't go through any official channels. She had made up a story, so she had to lie to Brooklyn and say it got shut down years ago. Because really, she just passed it off to another family member. Hey, Angel. One life to live. Thanks, Sandy. But yeah, so anyway, Brooklyn goes to Lulu's house, and things got pretty ugly. Also, not sure how she knew where Lulu lives because, Lulu literally just moved in. Just. They were still bringing things into the house. So, I don't know. But details, right? Wouldn't want those in a soap. Oh, man. Newspaper was kind of the hospital of One Life to Live. So, the newspaper office was, kind of their main hub for One Life. Interesting. Angel says Lulu knew what she was doing with that story pitch. Oh, I know. I totally believe that Brooklyn's bang on about it. No doubt in my mind. But yeah, so anyway, Brooklyn goes to Lulu's house and confronts her. She, things get pretty heated. But yeah. Dante walks in on the confrontation, and Brooklyn quickly covers it up by saying she thinks Lulu's trying to drive her crazy because Chase and Brooklyn are planning to adopt. Not that Lulu knew, but that was the best she could come up with at a moment's notice, and apparently enough for Dante to believe. Not that he picks a side, but he just thinks that Lulu should tread carefully because this whole thing is a touchy subject for her. Oh, Dante, if only you knew. Oh, man. I think that house is supposed to be the center of the town. Interesting. Alright, but let's switch gears. Let's talk about Ava and Rick and Alexis. So elsewhere in Port Charles, Alexis is still under Ava's thumb, and Rick's as well, because he happily gloated he was aware of the blackmail because her crazy daughter tried to kill him. Both Ava and Rick are loving it so far. And I get it. I totally get it. Rick has every right to be mad at Alexis for just letting Christina get away with all this stuff. It's crazy. Angel says BLQ probably found out the new address from Dante or Tracy. Probably common knowledge. Yeah, I guess so, I suppose. In the Quartermain domain. But yeah. Yeah, I can't be too mad at Rick and Ava for, making Alexis feel the heat. Because really, none of this would have happened if Alexis got Christina help in the first place. But yeah, I kind of loved Rick gloating to Alexis this week. Diane was also there at one point, being the good friend that she is, decided to, stop by and just kind of give him the rundown of the legals he's dealing with his accident. But yeah, and Rick kind of figures out that she knows. He doesn't say anything to her directly, but he has that kind of sort of a monologue to himself afterwards. But yeah, to be fair, Diane had tried to convince Alexis to get her daughter committed, and Alexis insisted that she wouldn't do it, and she tells Diane to shred the papers. Diane, being the good friend that she is, decided to hold on to the papers. Unfortunately, that decision will backfire brilliantly by the end of the week. And we're going to talk about it right away here. Sandy, you said, Rick is a snake, but I'm loving him and Ava. They are a perfect match for each other. Yeah, I like their vibe. I really do. I think Maura and Rick have good chemistry. And, but to be fair, I find that Maura has chemistry with everyone. She knows how to sell her partners on the show. She really does. But yeah, so anyway, to talk about the rest of the week, Molly was at the hospital checking on Rick since she wasn't exactly loving the idea of his only visitor being Ava, and Diane happened to be there to check on Rick for work reasons, like I mentioned. But at one point, Molly and Diane's purses, which were both on a table, they fell off that table, and all their stuff fell out of it. And long story short, Diane's file got mixed in with Molly's things. And later on, still at the hospital, Molly discovers it later while sitting in the waiting room with Cody, who was there for an injury of his own. Apparently one of his horses kicked him, and he had a little bit of probably like a cracked rib or something. We didn't really see what he had. But Molly finds the papers, and she tells Cody, and he decides to escort her to Sonny's house where Christina is, to just show her the papers. And Christina, she's having a good week. Hey, Allison. She like, Christina's been in like a really positive, outgoing mood. She had a bit of a rough start, like debating whether to confess or not, but like, again, she was convinced, no, like, my family needs me and I need them, and I don't want to bring more misery to them, and so I'm going to keep it a secret, yada yada, talking herself out of doing the better thing. But yeah, so she was shown a lot of love from Donna, who she was babysitting, because Sonny at this point is out of town preparing for his surgery. And Donna was just like saying, oh, you're my favorite, like, you're the best big sister ever, whatever, like, just worshiping the ground she walks on. And Donna also calls Sonny at one point. He kind of hides the fact that he's having a surgery. He just says that he's having a checkup. Christina did a decent enough job to cover it up as well. But yeah, so all the things Donna and Sonny were saying towards her, just the praise that she was getting, convinced her to focus on the good things that she has in her life. And there's nothing wrong with that, generally speaking, but you'll never truly move forward when you leave things hanging like that. So, and we know what went down. So, anyway, Molly shows up and shows Christina these papers, and Christina's in shock and angry at the fact that her mom was going to get her committed without her permission. The one thing I couldn't really tell is if Christina genuinely thinks her mom is just railroading her out of nowhere, or if she actually suspects that her mom might know the truth. Because to me, it felt like she didn't know, but maybe she was just hiding it from Molly. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Also, Molly and Christina actually go to confront Alexis. And I'm curious what Alexis is going to say. I want Alexis to be truthful, but I don't know. I don't know how she's going to handle this. Also, for those of you that were a little bit late for the chat, apologies for my voice. Just to quickly recap, I was at a concert last night. My friends, Calling All Captains, did a show, hometown show, really big show. Was screaming my ass off. Also recorded a demo earlier yesterday before the show. This is why my voice is this. I'm not catching a cold, don't worry. But yeah, so I want her to tell the truth. Like, she might as well be the one that blows up their friendship, because she got caught, and like, I don't know what kind of explanation she was gonna have. Okay. Angel, you said I'm so annoyed with Alexis. I feel you there. I am too. But yeah, I hope she dispels the truth, because I don't want this storyline to be something that gets dragged on indefinitely like we usually see on the show. Allison, you said, I don't think Christina knows. I don't think Alexis will say anything with Molly there. That's true. She might like pull Molly aside and be like, I need a minute with Christina and I think Molly would respectfully leave. But yeah, I hope she tells the truth, one way or the other. Alright, now, before all of that went down for Alexis and Diane both had some other drama to contend with this week. The handling of their newest potential employee, Marco. The previous week they learned he was Sidwell's son, so they had to decide whether or not to keep him or give him a chance. Sidwell was bothering the hell out of Alexis, just like an annoying fly that just wouldn't go away. And I feel like he was just making things worse for Marco. Like, I think that Alexis was gonna be fair and like hear him out and just go from there. And you know, in the end, she does hire him. So as Diane and her hire him. And I don't know. Marco does tell Lucas the good news, and they plan for their own celebratory date. I hope it happens on screen. I really like their chemistry, you guys. I'm gonna worry about the is he or isn't he bad like sort of trope that GH tends to do when they don't seem sure if they want to make him full villain or full good guy or somewhere in the gray area where they can just kind of play on both sides. I don't know. And I feel like if they make him full bad, then they're gonna like make him go full bad to be backed in the corner and get killed off, which I obviously don't want to happen. And I'm just basing my ideas on what we've seen the show do in the past. Kaiwan says, I like their chemistry too. They seem like two friendly dudes with sexual chemistry. Yeah. I wonder if they've went there in real life, you know? They do have 20 years of friendship, apparently, in real life. So, could have happened. But yeah, with any luck, they'll have better luck than Jordan and any guy at this point. Jordan and Isaiah, they're another new couple, but their relationship is dead in the water before it got off the ground because she broke up with him. God, I just hate it. Like, they finally get Jordan a man and she just dumps him because now she's officially working for Sidwell, even though technically she's just like undercover to get dirt on him. But yeah. Oh well. I hope they don't kill one of them off for sweeps, you know? Jordan's probably in a bit more danger, I think. Because, you know, like I said, I think I said this on Wednesday, but like Jordan don't even have a son in town that's on screen anymore. TJ is just gone. He's just gone. No mention of where he's been. He could still be in Port Charles. We don't know. Jordan doesn't even acknowledge him. Neither does Curtis. Neither does any of his family. Neither does Molly. TJ is just gone. Allison, you said that... Oh, wait. Sandy said, I'm loving the new Lucas. I am, too. I do love the actor. I did see when he played, I think... Was his name Luke? Did he play Luke? Or I know the couple in the soap that he was in was Luke and Noah. I just don't remember who was who in that couple. But yeah. He's a good actor. He brings a little sass to Lucas that he didn't have under Ryan. So yeah, he's a bit more of a fun character on screen. I do like it. And then Kaiwan says, Jordan, who hurt you? Dang. Sandy says, GH refuses to give Jordan any love life. It's ridiculous, right? Angel says, Jordan is stupid. I would have kept Isaiah. Yeah, no doubt. Her figuring out Sidwell isn't her job. Exactly. Like, there are WSB agents that can do that. Like, leave it to them. She ain't nobody. She ain't a police officer, a detective. She ain't even a PI. She's just doing this like, on her own. Like, it's so ridiculous. Allison says, I like him too. Yeah. But yeah, Jordan, she also has to suffer for having to stomach working beside Drew now for the greater good of bringing down Sonny Corinthos, quote unquote. Someone else who has to deal with Sonny is Laura, because their friendship is swaying people's votes. Tracy's even willing to stomach Drew's floozy kick-ass politician friend. Not kick-ass, sorry, kiss-ass. I'm tired, y'all. I went to bed at like 5. Kiss-ass. His kiss-ass politician friend. I can't remember his name, though, so if you guys can tell me his name, let me know in the comments, and I'll use his name from here on out. But yeah, so Tracy admits to Laura that she's donating money to him because of his stance on Sonny. And Laura tries to convince her it's a situation of the devil you know versus the devil we don't know. But the reality of Port Charles is that everyone knows Sonny is a mobster. No one really knows who Sidwell is, except for like Laura, Tracy, Lucky, not Tracy, Laura, Lucky, the Spencer family, Jason, Anna. So, and Natalia, I guess. Sandy says, I'll take Isaiah. I will take Isaiah too. I will. That man is fine. But yeah. Anyway, the politician whose name still escapes me. Help me out, guys, please. He was seen with a very flashy female escort at the Metro Court. Nina certainly took notice, since she recognized the worker from her time owning the Metro Court and having to kick her out multiple times, apparently. And it helped her and Portia conduct a plan to get Willow away from Drew. We don't really... I feel like they're... From what it sounds like, they're going to drug Drew and make it look like he slept with another woman to get Willow away from him. Ezra, thank you, Sandy. But yeah, I don't like whether it actually works or not is anyone's guess, I suppose, but I'm leaning towards it not working though. But considering, the stunts that Drew is currently pulling, like, I wish it would. I wish something would. Alright. So now we'll get into the Drew and the Willow stuff. So I know, Kaiwan, you said you know what happened. We're going to get into it. At the end of the day, you had the weekend to watch it. And if you're busy, you're busy. But I can't not talk about it because it's kind of the main point of the stream, I guess, today. Sort of. My hang-up was 6K. Exactly. Their hang-up was that amount of money that she was asking for, too. That was crazy. But it's not like that she couldn't afford it, so... It is what it is. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. So, this week, Willow was starting to see the writing on the wall that someone was going to try to take her kids away and might actually succeed. And she goes to Jason for help out of desperation, and he actually gives her some pretty sound advice to stop listening to all the opinions around her, because the only opinions that matter when it comes to their children are her opinions and Michael's. And he convinces her to go to Germany to talk to Michael herself and to just hash it out, talk, see where everyone's minds are at, etc. And later in the week, she tells Drew of her plans to go see him. He does everything in his power to try and convince her not to go. And when he realizes he can't, he simply lets her. So she goes, and when she gets to Germany, she's told by the front desk clerk of the hospital that he does not want to see her or talk to her at all. And just kind of makes it a hard line. Like, I can ask him again, but I know his answer is going to be no. And so she just is like, okay. And she calls Nina to let her know, and then she leaves. And then as soon as she leaves, we see this desk clerk make a phone call, and it's to Drew. And she says it's done. I convinced her that Michael did not want to see her, and she's left. So, you know. Like, but he's a good man, right? Like, listen, y'all. Like, Drew Dunn made sure Michael and Willow would never speak, just to keep a hold of control of her life. But yeah, but he's a good man though. Definitely not a groomer. Albert, you still in here? But yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew how to ignore everything happening in front of my face. So, you know, plain as day. And live in ignorance. It's probably a lot easier than having a functional brain. You know, like, I hate that I can see right from wrong. It must be nice to be so, like, blissfully ignorant to, like, what's happening in front of you. But, that's just the tea, y'all. That's just the tea. Oh, and if you also missed it, me and Albert are, there he is. There he is. So for those that came late, me and Albert are going to be live streaming together next Sunday. Earlier than mine. We'll let you know the details as soon as we hash it out later. We'll let you know probably by Saturday evening for sure. I think, right, Albert? I'm glad you see me, Albert. I'm glad. We gonna have it's gonna be a fun live stream where we're just gonna try to outsass each other probably. And we know that neither of us are gonna change our minds on Drew probably. So just enjoy the fireworks. But it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. So finally doing a live together. Yeah, we are. But yeah, stay tuned for that. All right, but we're gonna save more of the Drew and Willow talk for that live stream, and probably for next week as well, just the recap, maybe Wednesday as well, who knows, for the hangout stream, unless there's some classic I want to watch. But I feel like when it comes to like reacting to classic episodes, we've watched so much, y'all, and like all the interesting stuff is kind of gone. So I like I'm gonna say when, I just don't know when, but when we do watch throwback episodes, I'm gonna try to relate it to something that's going on during the week on General Hospital. Like if there's any sort of callback to anything, I'll try to like, you know, utilize a throwback for that, and we can watch. But until then, it'll be like hangout streams to sort of react to sort of certain situations that are happening currently. But yeah, let's move on. Let's change the subject. It's like I mentioned earlier, it's surgery week for Sonny. After he finally told Carly about his heart condition and how many people knew about it, Carly insisted on joining him in LA. Brick also joins them in LA. Do we think that Sonny and Carly are gonna get back together again? Because it feels like they're sort of hinting at it. I know that they'll always kind of love each other, but like, I don't know if I want another round of Sonny and Carly. I'm not a big fan of like Jack 2.0 and Carly, but they do have their fan base. I guess I'm rooting for Carly and Jack, but I don't know. Watch Dirty Soap. Is it on YouTube? Kaiwan, because we've already reacted to Lucky finding out about Elizabeth sleeping with Nicholas. See, that's the thing. I've been doing this since 2020, so we've watched so much in the last 5 years. We've run out of all the interesting, juicy things to watch. Allison says maybe. Angel says probably eventually. Allison also says Brennan needs to go. Yeah, I mean, he is kind of responsible for Jocelyn's situation, and I'm pretty sure he's responsible for what condition Michael is in. But time will tell, I guess. But anyway, so Brick joins Carly and Sonny in LA for the surgery, and he goes into the surgery, remembers only recent memories of his family, probably because they can't afford like earlier flashbacks, and he comes out of the surgery unscathed. However, a nurse who looks shady as hell goes into his recovery room and tries to inject him. Sonny was awake, for the record. I don't trust Brendan either, Sandy. But yeah, she tries to inject him, but Sonny was awake and saw what she was about to do. And that's kind of where the episode ends. Allison says, didn't he have Sonny's penthouse blown up? Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it was Jack that did that. So he's responsible for what he did to Michael, and he's responsible for screwing Jocelyn into becoming a WSB agent. So, how she bypassed Brick's security? Because, I don't know. I'm sure that his security isn't bright. You gotta keep in mind, like, Sonny had Max and Milo as his main security guards, and they were a couple of boobs, you know? They were dumb. They were dumb, okay? Lordy. But yeah. Oh, we gotta talk about Natalia, by the way. So, before Sonny went to surgery and went to LA, this woman had a rough week herself. But she kind of brought it on herself. But yeah, so for some reason she felt compelled to tell Sidwell about Sonny's heart condition. Like, he already knew that Sonny and Natalia went to a heart specialist in LA, but he didn't know what went on in the room. So, like, Natalia could have easily just been like, I have a heart condition. But she threw Sonny under the bus instead. And I'm just like, why? What? Like, it genuinely confused me. Like, it didn't make sense. Like, because she did seem to genuinely care about Sonny. And, like, she kept his confidence. And of all the people for her to, like, spill it to, Sidwell, knowing that he's probably gunning for Sonny, like, it makes no sense to me. Hey, Nathan. But yeah, so, like, I don't know. And then, so anyway, so after she leaves Sidwell's house, Windermere, she gets called into deception. Or she goes there on her own, I can't remember. Either way, she gets there, and the ladies of deception, as well as Sonny, decide to part ways with her, with the company. And she was pissed, especially at Sonny. Like, she specifically, you know, she went to, was it Marco that she went to afterwards? And was just like, where's his loyalty after all I did for him? Like, she's mad. It makes me wonder if she's going to start working for Sidwell herself. Like, what a flip on the character. It seems, I don't know. It just seems so left field to me. But yeah, maybe, like, she seems to be like an enemy of his. Or she's just gonna, you know, support the other candidate in the mayor election. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah. Those are all kind of the major points on the show this week. But there's a couple other things that we can discuss. Kind of like the younger scene. Like Jocelyn and Emma. So we got a bit more insight on why Emma hates Jocelyn so much. And it goes beyond Jocelyn cheating on Kem. It was more so Jocelyn's privilege that she's always taken issue with. Her parents buying her way out of trouble and into things she wants for herself. Or into things, rather. And, the fact that she got into the class that Emma had to be waitlisted for a while doesn't help matters either. And Jocelyn just states that she has no idea how she got in, but insists that she intends to work her ass off and prove herself to be worthy of this class. I think they understand each other a little bit better now, and I think that they'll eventually become good frenemies, which I'm okay with. And I'm betting down the line that they'll eventually be colleagues in the WSB. That is my hope. I hope that happens, because it's probably the only way I'll be able to stomach Jocelyn being in the WSB. It's such a cringe story to begin with, and maybe this will lessen the blow a little bit, because it makes sense for Emma to become one because of Anna. Trying to see what major things Natalia did for Sonny. I mean, she kind of persuaded. Well, let's see. She kept his secret about his heart condition. She did sort of help get himself into deception a bit too, in a way, and vice versa, because she was good at her job, so to speak. And we said they are probably both already WSP, maybe, but it's just a little bit weird that like the WSP would send Jocelyn in there when they've already got Emma, who's practically a shoo-in to become that professor's assistant. They're both privileged. You're right. You are right, because Robin and Patrick are very wealthy doctors, and she's got people in the law that can help her when she gets into trouble, like Anna and Robert and Mac. You know, she got a family full of like authority with her. And then, other than that, for Jocelyn and Emma, there's Trina and Kai. Trina is still feeling uneasy about Kai wanting to go through with the surgery, and they had this scene in the park where Kai was just full of hope and happiness to the point where I'm like, he's definitely going to be paralyzed, y'all. He was too happy in that scene. He's going to end up paralyzed, or worse, dead, or something. Something is going to go horribly wrong because he was just too happy in that moment. Oh, man. But yeah, that's where we're at for GH. Bit of a shorter stream. I don't want to talk too much just because I don't work tomorrow, actually. But I should rest my voice. Tomorrow is voting day in Canada, so we're voting for a new prime minister. So we're gonna go. Actually, we're gonna take our dog for a checkup, and her shots to be renewed, and then we're gonna go straight to the voting poll, and then we'll see who prime minister is. Happy Kai is happy. I really like the character too, Kaiwan. I actually really do like Kai, and I think he's better for her than Spencer for sure. I mean, I really enjoyed Spencer and Trina, but like obviously Spencer's a hot mess. You can type your messages. I know. Well, I don't want to just be here like on the chat, you know. But like we've talked about everything that's gone down on the show this week. There's not a whole lot. So far, Kaiwan, it doesn't look like conservatives are going to take it because they're way down in the polls because of their history with the US guy. So, yeah, it's not looking good for them. And plus, their candidate is just like a shitty choice. Just in general, he's like, yeah. But we'll see. We shall see. Stupid tariffs indeed. Kai is next to be brainwashed by Drew. He already is. But yeah, I don't know. I think I won't get it too much into politics because that'll keep me here for another 2 hours. But like, just for like the catch up of like Canadian politics, because I know y'all don't get any of it over there. like leading up to the election, like I like conservatives, to be fair, they had a lot going for them. A lot of people didn't like a lot of the things that the liberals did, you know, in terms of like our economy and carbon tax, which was a thing here that was just like an extra tax that felt like it did nothing. And the conservatives basically ran their whole campaign on that carbon tax thing. And like, fair thing to run on, honestly. Because, you know, even the liberals hated it. It's just like Justin Trudeau saying that, like, he just refused to want to axe. And when Justin stepped down, the standing Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who, by the way, grew up in Edmonton, where I'm from, and graduated from the high school that I graduated from. Fun fact. Mark axed that carbon tax, which left conservatives with nothing, and they were already leaving a bad taste in like the majority of Canadians' sort of mouths, because initially Pierre, who's the conservative sort of leader, was like very pro-Trump until Trump started threatening Canada. And so to Canada, this guy just looks like a kiss ass who's just like, you know, trying to show face because he knows that the majority of Canadians hate the guy. And so like, and you know, Canadians don't get brainwashed as easily. Like, we know when someone's full of shit. So like, it's like, no. Like, you're seeing the people that always hated him versus like the people that hated him when it suited them more. So that's when they started like declining, like fast decline in the polls. So, and just like I mentioned this before, I like, our biggest parties are liberals and conservatives. I tend to vote for neither of them. But it's a situation where, like, you know, it's got a lot of people torn, I think, because we see what's going on in the States and we don't want that here. And so we don't want to like play with our votes. So it's like it's a tough choice this year. It's a tough choice on whether to sort of back the liberals, even though I don't personally love a lot of what they've handled, but it's like the lesser of two evils kind of thing. And I feel like that happens in the States too. So I'm still undecided at this point, and I'm just gonna have to, you know, really think about it on my way more so, and sort of kind of give like a rundown of like the party that I do support versus like maybe going with, you know, liberals. But like it's kind of like, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see. I'll go with my gut once I kind of review the sort of policies and whatnot of like the people that I typically vote for versus like the liberals. But yeah. I don't know what New Green Bridge is. But yeah, also people just didn't want Pierre because Trump originally endorsed him. Until he realized, oh, Canada won't like that, and then just like sort of backed off. Dude's used to lying, you know? As he tends to, and still does. But anyway, it's what Canada should be as a nation, and we want to be Canada. So we're gonna go with the guy who's not gonna kiss the ass of the guy who's trying to annex our country. Man. Allison, you said, yeah, I would be an independent, but they will never win an election. Only Republicans and Democrats ever win. And I feel like it's kind of like that here too. But like there's been years where like certain other parties have like gotten pretty far up there. Even to the point with like the sort of like the smaller elections, like certain groups have won in our city, like that aren't liberal or conservatives. So it's you know, there's signs of hopes, but I feel like generally speaking, there's been signs of hopes that like an independent could, if they get enough sort of, you know, sort of leeway. Allison says they all lie, but Trump's going to cause another Great Depression or start World War III. Probably both. I feel like that's his plan. Make the people too poor to fight, and then, you know, start World War III so he can stay in power. That's what I see happening over there. An independent can win if enough people decide to vote third party. Yeah, like I feel I feel like, you know, liberal and conservatives is very much like Democrat versus Republican over there. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it would be certainly interesting if both parties were just like slashed. Not killed. I just mean like the parties, like just like they are not allowed to participate, and let's see what else we got. Like if that were to happen, it would be a very interesting world, I feel, to just like try something new and see what happens. And then I think it would make people really focus on all the other groups, because people tend to not, right? Like it's like a, you know, everyone just kind of sees what's popular on the news, and what's popular on the news is like the two biggest parties, and like the other parties barely get play unless something controversial happens. So it's like, it would be interesting. It would be so interesting. People keep saying they are tired of the two-party system. Well, vote third party. Yeah, like, and that's the thing. And I tend to, but not everyone is like that. And especially when there's like threats coming from other places where it's like, well, we don't want the same thing happening over here that's happening in the States, because the States is fucked. So, you know, like France. Yeah, independent parties, like it can happen. I think it would take a lot in countries like Canada and the US for it to happen. Like it would take a lot. But yeah. I feel like, you know, liberals have been in power for a long time here, about 10 years, I think. But the reason why they won 10 years ago is because the conservatives, like, did a lot of destruction. And so people could argue that liberals have also done that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, that's why I've been voting third party, like, when I can, because it's like, but, you know, there is that sort of thought, because, you know, what happened in the States and how a guy like Trump ended up in power again, despite, like, the playbook being there for everyone to see, both, you know, from the Republicans themselves and just, like, world history. We've seen it before. It's happening again. And people are blissfully ignorant to it. And it's like, it's crazy. Nothing like a Canadian telling US citizens we're effed. Well, I mean, the world can see it. Half of your country can see it too, to be fair. So, like, it's not like it's a surprise. The only ones who don't see it are the ones that kind of, like, live inside of Trump's asshole and just refuse to see anything else for what it actually is. Alright, y'all. But, like I said, I'm not staying on here for long. I want to reserve my voice. Because I want to record more music. So I want to, you know, sleep it off. And, you know, I'm feeling a lot of creative flow lately. And I'm excited for it. I did record a demo yesterday, like I mentioned, And I'm still debating. I've posted it on my own like personal Facebook page and my personal Instagram, or not my personal Instagram, my music Instagram. And it's a cover, but it was a fun one, and I got to scream in it. Y'all got to hear a metal scream in it. And I think eventually I'll post it to YouTube, but I want to do a few more songs before I do. But yeah, I am going to call it. So, thank you for joining in. Tune in Wednesday for a Hangout stream. And we'll see if I react to Dirty Soap's Angel. Well, I'll look it up this week, maybe tomorrow, and see what I can find. And then Sunday for, yes, the General Hospital After Show, but also for Albert's stream, because I'll be joining him. So stay tuned for all those things. It's going to be a fun week. But if you liked this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. And I will catch you guys later. Good night. Mwah.